Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to take your information stack and, well, help you get up to speed fast. Today, we're diving into something pretty intense. Biblical teachings on anger.
Yeah, it's a topic with a lot of layers.
Definitely.
Mhm.
And our listener gave us a very specific task here. We're focusing only on sources that answer, what does the Bible say about anger?
Mhm.
But, and this is the key, using only the Holy Bible and specifically Jesus' direct words and actions. Nothing else.
Exactly. And that constraint, just focusing on Jesus's direct voice, it's what makes this really powerful, I think. It forces us to kind of cut through maybe centuries of later thought and look purely at what he himself said and did regarding anger.
Right.
So this isn't some broad theological survey. It's like a really focused look at the standard he set.
Okay, let's unpack this then with that filter.
Yeah.
A really narrow lens. Probably most famous teaching jumps out right away, Sermon on the Mount. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, doesn't it? Because Jesus seems to just raise the ethical bar incredibly high.
He absolutely does. What's fascinating is how he takes the existing law, you shall not murder, and he internalizes it. In Matthew 5, he basically says that just being angry with your brother, without cause perhaps, puts you in danger of judgment.
Wow.
He essentially links that unchecked internal personal rage. He puts it on a similar level, spiritually speaking, to the act of murder.
So if we're sticking strictly to his words as our source, the first big impression is this extreme caution, like serious warning against uncontrolled personal resentment. The focus isn't just don't hit someone, it's control the feeling inside you, that anger towards a neighbor. That's a huge ask.
It's a massive standard, absolutely. But if we're looking at the whole picture within our constraint, his words and actions, we also have to look at times when Jesus himself showed intense emotion publicly.
Right. You mean like
Yeah.
the temple incident?
Exactly. John chapter 2, you see him, turning over tables, driving out the money changers. He even makes a whip in that account. That's strong stuff.
Okay, so there's the tension, right? Created by our specific sources. How do you square the warning in Matthew 5, anger is like murder, with this very visible display of what looks like anger in the temple?
Well, this is where sticking only to Jesus's words and actions might give us some clarity. It seems the anger condemned so strongly in Matthew is that personal self-seething anger, resentment against another person, being angry at your brother.
Okay.
The temple incident, though, that looks different. It's presented more as outrage against systemic injustice, against the desecration of something sacred. It's directed outward at a system, at sin.
So the teaching, strictly from these sources, seems to be, maybe, that anger is devastating when it's personal, inward-looking, aimed at someone. But perhaps justifiable, or at least understandable, when it's directed outward against, say, sin or injustice.
That seems to be the distinction emerging purely from his words and actions, yes. Personal resentment versus, you could call it righteous opposition.
That distinction is a massive takeaway. And it comes directly, as you said, from the very specific sources we were asked to use. We focus solely on that high, immediate, internal standard set by Jesus.
Exactly. And the value of this particular deep dive, I think, lies in seeing how that specific definition of anger emerges only from his core teachings and examples. It sets an immediate, very high bar for conduct.
Right. Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Given that the source material demanded we look only at Jesus' direct words and actions, does focusing just on this really high-intensity standard, linking personal anger to murder, and maybe justifying anger only against injustice, does that change how you might approach applying these ideas or interpreting them spiritually? Especially compared to, say, a study that brought in context from the Old Testament or the epistles, which might sometimes present anger but differently, something for you to maybe mull over.